Greetings, I'm Cheryl, 32 years old. At the tender age of 6, I lost my mother, and for the subsequent 8 years, my father single-handedly raised me. Around the age of 12, he shared with me that he was involved with someone. As a child, I wasn't particularly invested in the matter. However, when I turned 13, my dad introduced me to his girlfriend Ashley, revealing their plans to marry soon. Despite my initial unease about the small age gap, Ashley was just 7 years older than me. I eventually grew indifferent to it. Our relationship, though, was far from ideal. Ashley, being overbearing, constantly attempted to assume a maternal role. Despite expressing my concerns to my dad, he sided with her perspective. Unhappy with the situation, I moved out at 20. Despite this, my bond with my dad remained strong. We regularly met for lunch every other weekend. Initially, my dad tried to integrate Ashley into my life, but upon seeing my resistance, he relented. While he continued to express his love for her, I focused on building my own life. I achieved professional success, landing a job at a prestigious firm right after college. Financially stable, I started saving early on, and within a few years I was thriving. However, at 26, tragedy struck. My dad was involved in a freak accident and passed away, leaving me devastated. Losing my only family member left me in shambles. I wept every night and struggled to function in the mornings. Fortunately, I was granted a week off work to cope with the grief. I wasn't particularly fond of Ashley initially, but I knew she held a deep affection for my dad. Consequently, I made a point to check in on her regularly. Upon our first meeting, she appeared quite ordinary. I didn't anticipate her donning all black attire or mourning at home, but I did expect to see signs of distress. Personally, my eyes were visibly puffy with dark circles, my nose was red, and my skin was marked by tear-induced splotches. Interestingly, Ashley seemed completely composed. While my initial impression might sound judgmental, I had hoped to find a shared sense of grief for the man who meant the world to me. However, my suspicions faded as we conversed. During our talks, she unexpectedly broke into tears, revealing a vulnerability that transcended her outward appearance. Following that initial encounter, I started visiting Ashley more frequently. We shared moments over tea, discussing the complexities of our emotions. It seemed like a genuine connection was forming. Tired of her attempts to fill my mother's role, I appreciated talking to her as an individual. One day as we conversed, Ashley suddenly burst into tears. Despite our non-emotional discussion, I rushed to comfort her. Once she calmed down, she revealed a distressing situation. The bank had informed her that, due to financial struggles amid caring for my dad and managing medical expenses, she was facing homelessness with the mortgage transferred to her. Concerned, I offered to help financially, citing my savings. Grateful, Ashley accepted, acknowledging the unexpected bond that had developed between us. As we discussed the terms, I expressed my willingness to assist with her payments but added 2 conditions. I couldn't afford to rent a place for her, and I couldn't cover the entire mortgage. Naturally, dear, I'll be moving in since this house is now ours. Secondly, I can't continually cover your mortgage payments. You must find employment soon and take responsibility for it. I can contribute half, but you must secure a job. Over time, you'll need to repay me as well, and I trust you'll honor that commitment. I empathized with Ashley's drastic financial shift, going from stability to desolation. I couldn't fathom the anxiety she must have felt. Fortunately, I had substantial savings and a lesson from my dad about being prepared for unforeseen difficulties. In the following week, I liaised with Ashley's bank to address the mortgage situation and avert foreclosure. Ashley hadn't paid in 6 months, accumulating late and pre-foreclosure fees, totaling $140,000. While I covered it from my savings, it did make a significant dent. Ashley was immensely thankful, expressing her gratitude with a lavish feast. I was pleased to see her genuine appreciation, a departure from her previous entitlement. I decided to move in with Ashley, an intriguing experience. She proved more demanding than I remembered, particularly about maintaining a pristine home. I didn't mind, respecting her desire for cleanliness and shared spaces. However, I stood my ground when she attempted to extend that control to my room. I asserted that my room was mine, and I preferred it as it was. While we had occasional disagreements, overall, living with her was positive. As the weeks turned into months and the months into years, I noticed positive changes in Ashley. Despite initial concerns, the living arrangement evolved into a harmonious coexistence. I began to feel frustrated with Ashley for not securing a job, despite her assurances of actively searching. I never witnessed any tangible results, not even a mention of a job interview. When I confronted her about it, she became defensive. Ashley, I don't mean to come across this way, but when do you plan to get a job? It's been a year since you promised, And I need a clear timeline for how much longer I'll be covering the mortgage. I don't know when it will happen, okay? I haven't had any interviews and I'm not getting responses. Have you considered applying for a part-time job at least? No way. I'm trying to help you out here. I can't keep paying your mortgage. If it's too much for you, then don't do it. I'll figure something out. I can't risk being homeless. It's fine, whatever. I'm sure your dad would have been happy to see me struggling like that. No, it's okay. I'll keep paying. But I'm telling you, I can't keep doing this. Yeah, and I'll find a job. Just give me some time. At that moment, it didn't register, but Ashley using my late dad as a guilt tactic bothered me. Despite this, I diligently continued paying off the mortgage. However, Ashley's behavior became more overbearing. She began expressing annoyance about my schedule and weekend activities. While it initially irked me, I eventually stood up for myself, putting her in her place. Although she would quiet down, her resentment lingered, leading to weeks of strained communication. Despite the strain, I continued to assist her for another year. Eventually, I decided to take a firm stance. Ashley showed no real effort to find employment. Though it felt wrong, one day when she was out, I decided to. I went through Ashley's unlocked laptop, discovering that in the past 3 years, she had applied to only one firm, and that was right after I agreed to help with the mortgage. I felt a mix of anger and disgust at her dishonesty, especially considering how accommodating and kind I had been. It became clear she was taking advantage of my generosity. When she returned home that night, I informed her that I could no longer offer assistance. Needless to say, Ashley did not take it well. She questioned, "How can you do this to me? I've given you 3 years to figure things out. You've refused every form of advice I've given, and you haven't made any effort to get your life together." I responded, "Ashley, I know you aren't making any effort. You're just making false accusations." "All right, then why don't you show me all the places you've applied to this year? That's an invasion of my privacy. Look, I'm glad that we've developed a good relationship in the past few years, and I'm happy to have helped you. But I need to start looking out for my future too. I never wanted to own my own house, and I hate that I'm stuck paying for something that has never been part of my plan." Ashley broke down, sobbing for a while. Though her emotional state affected me, I left her that night, still harboring anger. However, I decided to do some research to find a way to assist her without continually providing for her. The next day, Ashley refused to talk to me, but I asked if she would just listen. I advised her to consider filing for bankruptcy to secure an extension on her loan payments and a temporary break from repayment for approximately 6 years. Eventually, Ashley acknowledged my suggestion and inquired if I could assist her with the paperwork. Despite her prior coldness, I agreed to help, and over the following weeks we successfully navigated the approval process. Once Ashley was relieved of her mortgage obligations for the next 6 years, I reminded her of the importance of rebuilding her financial stability. However, she dismissively asserted that she had things under control and requested that I move on. Despite the emotional sting, I realized the consequence of no longer allowing myself to be used. I relocated within the month and my financial situation improved. 3 years post-separation, I earned a promotion at work, enabling me to save and invest more significantly. Communication with Ashley dwindled, with minimal effort on her part to stay in touch. While I tried to maintain contact due to her relationship with my father, she consistently responded coldly, instructing me to mind my own business. Initially hurt by her behavior, I eventually accepted it. Life progressed positively until, about 6 months after Ashley's bankruptcy period concluded, she unexpectedly appeared at my doorstep. Surprised, as we hadn't communicated in months, I sensed her purpose and prepared to assert my boundaries. Despite my initial intent, I invited her in and observed her disheveled appearance, tangled hair, significant weight loss, and signs of sleep deprivation. Noticing her evident struggles, I inquired about her well-being, expressing concern. Ashley admitted to facing significant challenges, revealing a downward spiral since my departure. She acknowledged attempting to reach out to me but claimed I always pushed her away, unveiling the depths of her loneliness after I left. "I understand, and I sincerely apologize for my actions. I never intended to push you away or inflict pain. My behavior was fueled by a surge of anger towards myself for feeling so isolated. I also harbored resentment towards your dad for leaving me alone, and I was frustrated by the struggles I was facing. It's been 6 years, and I haven't been able to secure a job. Depression has taken a toll, and I've nearly depleted the funds your dad left me. Moreover, my family is withdrawing their support. Despite my attempts to convey my feelings, they simply won't listen or understand. Ashley, I didn't realize the extent of your struggles, and I hate continually turning to you. You've done so much for me." I had resolved not to assist, but seeing a woman in such distress, someone I knew firsthand the effects of depression, made me empathize. Against my initial decision, I found myself agreeing to help Ashley once again. Her tears of joy and profuse gratitude were heartening, and I was glad to offer assistance to someone suffering. The following week, I found myself at the bank, sorting out matters for Ashley. It turned out she hadn't made mortgage payments for the past 6 months. I pondered why she hadn't adjusted her mortgage or sought to reduce monthly payments. I attributed it to her overwhelming suffering, recognizing that clarity might be elusive in such circumstances. As I reviewed Ashley's mortgage, I discovered she had around $95,000 left, including late fees, to fully settle it. Over the past 6 years, I had managed to save considerably, and I had that amount in my account. I inquired with Ashley if she preferred me to settle her mortgage, allowing her to repay me over time. She tearfully asked if such an arrangement was possible, and upon my affirmative response, she pledged to pay me back. I insisted on getting her promise in writing within the week before proceeding with the loan payment. Strangely, she convinced me to settle the loan first and formalize the contract afterward. Upon reaching her residence, I noticed an unfamiliar car in the driveway, and the front door was unlocked. As I entered, I heard Ashley's laughter mingling with that of another man. In the living room, I witnessed her sitting on another man's lap, arms wrapped around him. This sight left me feeling uneasy, considering she had expressed her deep love for my dad just a week earlier, claiming she could never get over him. She often spoke about my dad, emphasizing his pride in me. In hindsight, it seemed like emotional manipulation to coax me into paying off her loan. When Ashley realized my presence, she laughed and pointed me out to her partner, saying, "Darling, look, that's the girl I was telling you about. She's the daughter of the man from whom I got this house. I tricked her into paying it off, and now we can live here happily." Confused, I questioned her actions, only to be met with her revelation. Ashley admitted she could secure a job but deliberately stopped me from paying for her to exploit the situation. She confessed that her expressions of love for my dad were a facade, solely driven by her financial motives to avoid work. The revelation left me stunned and betrayed. I grew weary of the perpetual exhaustion I felt, so I decided to marry an older man with financial stability. I had genuinely hoped that he would have a longer lifespan. It's astonishing to reflect on how long I supported you while you were unwell. I can't fathom that my father was taken in by you. Do you even grasp the depth of his affection for you? Regardless, I'm indifferent to your words. Speak as you please. At the end of the day, I own a house, and that's my primary concern. Besides, I have the privilege of sharing my life with my boyfriend. In a fit of frustration, I stormed out of the house, tears streaming down my face. I harbored a strong desire to inflict pain upon Ashley. How could she engage in such despicable actions? I knew I couldn't let Ashley claim victory so easily. I had a plan to knock her off her high horse. Given that I was transferring a substantial sum, my bank had a one-day hold on the funds, allowing me the chance to cancel the transaction. Ashley was unaware of this detail. If she had been more astute, she would have waited before unveiling her elaborate scheme. I was thankful for her lack of intelligence. Without hesitation, I contacted my bank, canceled the transaction, and promptly blocked Ashley's number and all her social media accounts. I ensured there was no way for her to reach me. I anticipated it would take about a month for her to realize the mortgage payment had not gone through. In the meantime, I decided to relocate. Despite the pain I was experiencing, there was a sense of satisfaction in giving Ashley a taste of her own medicine. I hoped she would face severe consequences. Later, I discovered that Ashley's house was foreclosed. Through mutual friends and connections, I learned she had been couch surfing for a while. Her boyfriend had left her and she had no income. Attempts to tarnish my reputation failed, as no one sided with her. Instead, several reached out to check on me. In denying her the opportunity to own my father's house, I felt like I had vindicated his memory. This experience taught me never to let anyone manipulate my emotions. People can be deceitful and are quick to take advantage of you. I've learned to let go after being betrayed, as people seldom change. In a way, I'm grateful for this experience. I will continue to live happily and honor my father's memories without allowing them to dictate my actions. Thank you for listening.